So for this effect we're going to need 2 bits of footage. The first bit is our actor pretending to teleport, and then we're going to want a clean plate as well, which is just the background with nobody in it. That's a still image I'm using there as well. So if we merge our actor over our clean plate, what we essentially want to do is blend between our actor and our clean plate footage using this merge node. So as you can see there, you can do that using the slider, but we're gonna add something a bit more fancy. So you can do this by adding a fast noise node, which generates some procedural noise for you. You may want to just change the scale, the seethe rate like we have before, just to get a bit of an animated texture going there. And then by using the brightness and contrast sliders, you can animate this to come in and disappear over time. And essentially that's what we're going to use to drive our mask texture here. Now in my case, I've already used a fractal noise texture. Let me just grab that. I'm using a plugin by a guy called June. It is a paid plugin for Davinci Resolve, but it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's around $20 or something like that. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you feel like buying it. And what it does is it adds some fractal noise that you would get in After Effects or Hit Film, different types with lots of different options for generating different patterns. So in Resolve you've got fast noise, but that's about it. So this adds some really interesting things. So we can do sort of swirling patterns like this. And what I've done is I've animated the lift controls to make it go from solid white to completely transparent with a bit of a fade in there. And by plugging that into our mask node, we can use that to drive the fade between our footage and our clean plate. So if I press play, there we go, it looks like our actor's kind of dissolving. The next thing I did was add a dent node. So the dent node is basically like a bulge that distorts the footage for you. So I'm going to add the type as dent 3, and I'm going to change the strength to 0. And essentially what we want to do now is animate that dent. So I'm going to set a keyframe here, and let's say by about here we want to kind of like pull our footage inwards, so you have that kind of warped, distorted look. Let's go forward a couple of keyframes, and then we're going to want our footage to be slightly warped outwards this time, and then we're going to pull it back to nothing, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got like a sort of warped effect going on there. Perfect. I am just going to click on keyframes here and then our dent node, expand our strength settings and highlight them and hold down shift and press S, and that will just smooth out that transition to make it look a little less rigid. Next we want to add some light rays to our project, so I'm going to delete my previously used node there, and I'm going to add some light rays to the footage. Now this adds some volumetric lighting, or God rays as it's sometimes known, and this just allows us to add a bit of light just when we pop through the portal. So I'm going to add it about here, and we also want to mask it so it just appears around our actor, not around the whole clip. So I'm going to add a spline, and I'm going to draw a quick rough mask around myself there, plug that into our light rays node, and let's soften out the edge. Now if we go back into our light rays, we can now start playing around with the settings here. So I'm going to change the color to a sort of blue, and I'm going to boost the brightness a bit, just like that. We don't really want to soften these because I want to see the rays. Okay, let's see what that looks like with our other footage. So I'm just going to animate the level on the mask on these light rays because we don't want them on for the entirety of the shot. So let's say about here we want the level to be nothing. A couple frames later we want full light ray effect, and then nothing because it's going to fade out with our character where it's masked off. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is track my hands so I can add some displacement and light rays to them. So let's add a tracker node, and I'm going to track my hands, like that, and let's do a track back to start. This doesn't need to be the most accurate track in the world because we are only trying to roughly track on some masks with it. So once our masks are tracked on, we can use this to add some light rays. So I'm going to duplicate the light rays node. And I am going to draw a mask around our hands this time. This area here. And let's soften that out a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add the position from our keyframed tracker. So let's click on the right click the center, connect to tracker 2 path position, and then we can just grab our mask and line it up again to the right place. And now if we press play, our light beams will track onto our hands. And then it's just a case of doing the same with our fractal noise. So I'm going to copy the noise here, but this time I'm going to remove any of the keyframes to do with our lift because we want to be able to see the noise for the entirety of the shot. So let's just remove that and we'll set it to the default, and now we can see our noise kind of swirling around there. So I'm going to add that into our hands, and I'm going to do that using a displace modifier. So let's add displace, and then I'm going to pipe that into our displacement, and you'll see that we've got some nice displacement going on there, but it's affecting the entirety of the footage. So we're going to take that same mask we used and we're just going to plug that into our displacement, so we only see the displacement going on around the hands. Now at this point you can change the sort of size of our displacement so it's a bit more detailed. There you go, you can see that's now having a direct effect. And put it all together and we have our final effect. So that's my take on the Umbrella Academy number 5 teleportation effect. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it took a bit longer than usual to get this one out. Things have been a bit busy. Hopefully I'll be able to get something out sooner next time. I'd really appreciate it if you like the video to give it a like. And as always, subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you next time.